Couple of lands commanders, Tatyova, Benthic, Druid versus Titania, Protector of Argoth. Well, there's crop rotation. We can make a copy of a good land with Reaver. Yeah, I think we can keep that. And it is a wild growth straight onto the forest for our opponent. We draw into one of the most expensive cards in the deck, in Ozar. So let's just go for our forest, and we'll hold up the crop rotation. And we do have Field of the Dead in the deck, but that is something that my lands matter decks tend to go for a lot, so might be an optimal play, but I don't really want to go for Field of the Dead like we do in every other game. And actually it would take us off green mana anyway, so that's not a very intelligent play. Let's go for, instead, maybe just go for a Simic land. Yeah, I think we'll actually... Does it come into play tapped with this? No, it doesn't, so we'll go for a fetch. Where are we? The Flooded Grove, it's not that. Misty Rainforest is what I'm thinking of. Yeah, just in case we can play lands out of the graveyard. And then we'll get down the breeding pool. And Reaver can probably come in as a copy of that to help fix our mana, but there is a Sol Ring. So in that case, it's Island into Tireless Tracker, I think. Yeah, that Sol Ring does change things. And now it is a Courser of Kruphix. I'm assuming that our opponent doesn't have a land, or they would have gone straight in for their commander there. And they don't have a land on top. They may do next turn, though. We'll go in for Tatyova now. I'd like to hold off on the fetch land until we've got Tatyova in play, but the Reaver is a tap land, so let's just get down Tropical Island. Get a couple of clue tokens and we'll go in for our commander. And no additional land drops for us, unfortunately, so we will leave it there and hope that we don't see a land on top of our opponent's library. There is one. And they've got another one on top as well. So playing that and gaining a life. And they will be able to make use of that for the Titania. Getting out lots of elemental tokens. Okay, and they've got 2 bits of spot removal in Beast Within and Nature's Claim, dealing with our Sol Ring and our Tatyova. So here I think it has to be the Eternal Witness, and we'll grab back the Sol Ring, and then we'll get rid of this Reaver finally. We'll just make it a breeding pool, it doesn't matter. So our opponent successfully slowing us down there. Not going to swing in with the beast because there's no point. So now I imagine our opponent... I thought they would have waited on the wooded foothills. Maybe they're not going for their commander just yet. They have shuffled away the Sakura Tribe Elder and have another land on top. And now Titania is going to grab back a fetch. And when they crack this, they will get a 5/3 elemental. Now, if we get a land off the top, we can go in for our Consecrated Sphinx, and I think that might be what we have to go for here. If we can't outdo them on the board, then we can try and outdo them in card draw. Yeah, so let's go land that we did draw into that Sol Ring again, and then we'll go for the Consecrated Sphinx. And hopefully that'll make a pretty good blocker as well. Draw 2 cards at the beginning of our opponent's draw step. And they're going for a Ghost Quarter. Not really too worried about that. But it is a means of them making an elemental. Noteworthy as well that they've got more card draw in Elemental Bond there. And now Nissa Who Shakes the World, which doubles up their forests. That's worrying. They've only got 2 cards left in hand though. Going for a Harrow to get another land into the graveyard. And they sacrifice their Crystal Vein to do that as well. Or they might have sacked the Crystal Vein to Nissa, I don't know. They've sacrificed Crystal Vein for the 2 mana at some point anyway. Okay, get into a Titania of our own. Yeah, I think we're actually okay to go for Titania. Or do we just want to get down Tatyova here? Yeah, I think I'm going to plump for Tatyova. And then we'll play the forest. And we'll draw a card and get another clue token, which we haven't made use of yet. Yeah, just take a turn off and get our commander back down, get into Raminat, which is really good. Especially with a Titania and a Tatyova in play. Yeah, I think we might be able to pull back from this one. Let's go after that Nissa to try and hurt their mana. What's the minus on that thing? Oh, they were nowhere near that anyway, but that's an emblem. Draw 2 more cards with the Sphinx. And then they look like they're doing something in response to that. It is a Ghost Quarter to get another elemental, but I think they Ghost Quartered their own land there. So that was literally just to get an elemental. Yeah, they Ghost Quartered one of their own forests. We get into Reality Shift and a Mana Crypt. Then untapping one of the forests with Nissa. And going in for Animist's Awakening for what will no doubt be a bunch of lands, including a Gaia's Cradle, and they are untapped, so definitely want to get rid of Nissa here. Luckily they've only got 1 card in hand, Raminap on top for them as well. Then a Utopia Sprawl going on to a forest to generate even more mana. No cards in hand here. Let's try and minimise the damage here. We'll just take 5 and trade one of our beasts. We really want a Cyclonic Rift or something like that. Okay. The Lotus Cobra is a means of generating a heap of mana. So let's play that. Then we'll drop the Mana Crypt and go in for the Titania as well. And that will bring back a Misty Rainforest, which will generate mana, draw us a card, and give us a clue token, as well as give us some life. Then we will go for a Cultivate for some more landfall. We'll just go for a forest and an island. Play the island in. And that triggers landfall 3 times again. But we just keep drawing into lands, unfortunately. So how about we'll just drop the Verdant Catacombs. And there's a Royal Elemental, that might be of some use to us. So let's generate blue. Then it's blue there. Yeah, I think we can go Royal Elemental, but can we trigger the landfall is the question. They're not going to have Nissa, but they're still going to have a bunch of mana. And we know they're drawing into Raminat, which won't really do anything for them. Cracking the fetch gets us an elemental of our own. We'll throw out an island. And just drawing more lands. We don't have a means of playing out more than 1 land a turn, unfortunately. Just crack another fetch for another forest. And we're drawing into nothing but mana here. Let's go blue there. Then we've got 4, 5, 6 mana. So let's go for the Thought Vessel. And then we can still play out that Royal Elemental. And we've got an unlimited hand size. Not worried about our opponent getting into removal next turn because their hand's empty. So we're safe to have the Royal Elemental out. And have it just sit there for a turn, I think. Get rid of that Nissa with the Consecrated Sphinx. We've got some decent elemental blockers of our own now, thanks to our own Titania. Our Sphinx triggers again when our opponent draws their Raminat. We get into Burgeoning, which we will actually make use of. Thanks to our opponent, no doubt, wanting to play a bunch of lands as well, but we've got a whole heap of card draw here. They have their own Lotus Cobra on top as well, so feels like a bit of a mirror match here, which is probably going to take no one by surprise, because these are 2 lands matter decks. Now then, how do we want to block here? I think we could do with cracking a clue token or 2 to make this a better blocker as well. Let's go 2 elementals and just take a hit for 5. And now we've got Mana Crypt to worry about as well. We win the flip this time though. More mana from the Talisman of Curiosity. We'll drop the Burgeoning, definitely want that in play. And we'll go for as much landfall as we can now. if we steal away our opponent's... If we steal away our opponent's Titania, it will kill ours. Yeah, we'll go after their Titania. And we've gotten into Escape Shift. We'll add green there. Then it doesn't matter if we sacrifice a land in response, because we're going to have a Titania either way. I just don't want my opponent to have one more than anything. Okay, they go for Ghost Quarter onto their own land again to generate another elemental. So we could do with taking that ramming app away from them, although they won't have as much use for all of this type of stuff without their commander in play. So they get a fresh elemental, they gain a life from the Courser. So they get a fresh elemental, we will steal their Titania, and then choose the one that we want to keep. We want to keep our opponent's, ours can die. And then Escape Shift with our opponent's Titania in play is really good. Let's get another land and take our opponent's ramming app away. We've only got one more island left in the library, which is noteworthy. Just add green there. Say yes to stealing ramming app. And then why don't we go in for Nazal as well, and we'll start trying to draw this game to a close. I don't mind my opponent drawing into a land next turn. So let's... Yeah, we're going to be able to steal all of our opponent's stuff with Escape Shift, aren't we? So let's just go for Escape Shift here. And I'm just going to sacrifice the tap lands, or the lands that are tapped. So that's 4, 5. We steal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things from our opponent. And then we'll go after 5 lands here. So that can be a Gaia's Cradle, a Field of the Dead, a Waterlogged Grove, I don't know, Reflecting Pool, and we'll take a Wasteland as well. That generates a whole heap of triggers, including that Field of the Dead that we didn't go for at the beginning of the game. And now the client is starting to bug out, because there's a lot of stuff on the stack. And because we sacrifice some lands, Titania will give us some more elementals. We don't have Global Haste, unfortunately. But we do have a means of going for Royal Elemental onto our opponent's stuff. We'll steal that Courser away. And our opponent sees it. They've been very patient throughout this game. As soon as they saw the Royal Elemental stuff, all we were going to do is take everything away from them. Apart from that Llanowar Elves, they can chump with that if they want to. We get a bunch of mana. Draw 5 cards with Tatyova. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 lands. There we go, there's additional land drops every turn in Wayward Swordtooth, so probably would have played that. We would have had 3 mana held up. I thought we had more than 3 mana. Oh yeah, and then there's some over here as well, so 5 mana held up. Yeah, who knows what I would have done there. Maybe gone in for more landfall with Nature's Law and the like, but anyway, that was a pretty convincing win for us. Was looking a bit sketchy there, but our card advantage over Titania's card advantage won us the game there, I think. They got off to a nice fast start, but they didn't have much to do after they just started top decking into less dangerous stuff than we had. So, an interesting game between 2 Lands Matter decks. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.